All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Census, for joining us
Welcome.
today. Appreciate you coming and giving us some information. Can you start off with tell us a little bit about yourself just to begin with?
Well, currently I run a small business in Weed,
Mm-hmm.
and my past life was as a computer programmer. So started as a programmer, worked up to system analyst, and then eventually more of a management position. But it started with a technical skill. And my entire professional life has been self-employed,
Mm-hmm.
partly by design and partly by virtue of being a terrible employee. So, some of it is a conscious choice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my background.
Mm-hmm. Why do you like working in the computer science field?
Well, I love that fundamentally I like the challenge of computer science itself. It was always to me like puzzle solving.
Yes.
And then as time went by, from a mercenary perspective, having a technical skill
Yeah.
gives you an advantage over people who don't, because
Absolutely.
you can do things other people can't do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the computer field, especially at the time when I got involved in it, because there weren't many people much older who
Oh,
knew
yeah.
anything.
Right.
And so it gave a younger person an opportunity to be in a position where I could make economic demands, because
Mhm.
if you need this job done, then you've got to talk to somebody, obviously, who can do that job.
Do you think those opportunities are still available for young people these days?
I very much think so,
Mhm.
because there are a lot of broad-based educational skills. There's
Yeah.
a lot of soft skills. There's a lot of business degrees, and these are
Mhm.
great. But they don't give you the ability to get in there and solve a problem that only a person with technical skills can solve. And
Right.
it doesn't matter if it's welding skill, if it's programming, if it's, video, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
If you've got a specific technical skill, then you've got the ability to get paid.
Absolutely. Okay, why do you choose to be self-employed in a small business? Can you speak to quality of life, or not having a boss directly over you, or maybe the amount of time you spend on projects?
Well, it's a combination of the above. The lure of small business to me was it's the ownership. I'm responsible for taking the garbage out. I'm responsible for making sure that the finances are good. I'm responsible for future planning and business direction. So it is something where you're a jack of all trades. It's
Right.
never boring.
Right.
And that responsibility cuts both ways, because there are times 3 o'clock in the morning you're worried about something that in a larger organization would be someone else's responsibility,
Right.
or you can form a committee and let's talk about this.
Sure.
In a small business, the buck always stops here.
Right.
And so I like the challenge. And lifestyle-wise, personality-wise, that's what appeals to me. I
Yes.
don't want to be in an environment where it's not up to me.
Mhm.
And so in my philosophy, every environment is a self-employment environment.
Yeah.
When you work for a large corporation, when you work for an educational institution, my approach to employment is I'm still self-employed. I'm responsible for getting my job done. You can make yourself in a traditional organization. If you approach it like self-employment, then you're a better employee.
Yeah.
Because you're taking care of yourself and you're taking care of what should be done.
Right.
Where, a lot of people feel in the traditional employment environment, not my job.
Right.
And
Right.
if you're self-employed, it is never not your job.
Everything is your job.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Do you feel like you'd spend more time on projects or less? Or
Well, definitely more, because you spend as much time as the project takes.
yeah.
And so there's no one's behind you. You
Right.
have to do this. There's no choice. There's never a thought of, will I do this or not?
Yeah.
Because there's no appeal to a higher authority. You just have to get it done. And so problem solving wise, there's no better problem-solving incentive than having to.
That's right.
You know, if it's something where I tried really hard, boss, and I can't,
Right.
then, you know, there's no appeal like that in a small business.
Sure.
You have a project that you've
Right.
taken on, you have to get it done.
Mhm.
And so it really helps problem-solving to have to get something done.
Yeah.
It's like, do this or you're going to die.
Sure. But also, you're not always relying on someone else to get their part done necessarily.
Yeah, not
Depends on-
necessarily.
Depends on
I mean,
if you're 2 or 3 people or 5 or whatever.
Yeah, even self-employment, you still don't exist in a background,
Yeah.
in a vacuum.
Right.
You know, so you still have a lot of collaboration. You
Yeah.
still have dependencies, but for the most part,
Mhm.
it is, you know, it's all on your back.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend to my students that they run a small business right after they graduate, or should they wait a little while and get some experience?
You know, it's going to be different for everybody personally.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a better time for small business and entrepreneurial activity than when you're young,
Mhm.
because you really have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know, you have time to lose. I don't believe in lost time.
Right.
There is no such thing.
Yeah.
Any time that is spent pursuing something is time well spent.
Absolutely.
Whether it
Invested.
works or not isn't the measure of success.
Yeah.
You know, how much you learn is the measure of success.
That's right.
So when somebody's young, then try it. You know,
Mhm.
you lose everything. What did you have?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
when you're older, when you have a family, when you have more responsibilities, mortgage, car payments, etc.,
Mhm.
it gets a lot harder to risk.
Mhm.
And so risk is an inherent part of self-employment.
Sure.
You know, you are responsible for all of it. And so, you know, you're taking a risk. If it doesn't work, you can't go back and say, you know, hey, this project didn't work, boss, I need another project.
Mhm.
You know, so I think when you're young, no better time to try it.
And you can take everything that you learned from that and take it into a
Absolutely.
bigger business if you
yeah.
need to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because arguably you're going to learn more and learn it faster.
Yeah.
And you are going to be more motivated if it's yours.
Mhm.
And so, you know, and you're going to learn a wider skill set. And so I think when you're younger, it's the ideal time to do something entrepreneurial.
Perfect. Can you share with us some of your secrets of running a successful small business?
Well, the first secret is it is all on you. And so if you take that mindset, there's
Yes.
no blaming somebody else.
Right.
There's no having the cavalry come to the rescue.
Right.
There's no quit.
Yeah.
And so the secret is you do everything.
Mhm.
And pride-wise, pride goes out the window
Yeah.
because you're the owner, you're the CEO, you're the boss.
Right.
So take out the trash.
That's right.
Because somebody has to.
Yeah.
So every job has to get done. Every project has to get finished. And so
Mhm.
you do whatever is required.
Mhm.
So the number one secret is you are going to be working. You're
That's
working
right.
for yourself,
Mhm.
and you're the toughest boss.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really start thinking about it, you know, you
Right.
can't hide from yourself.
Yeah.
So the second thing, fiscal discipline.
Oh,
The,
indeed.
the most important part, when you work in a traditional employment environment,
Mhm.
you get a paycheck.
Right.
And then, you know, you blow that paycheck, what happens 3-4 weeks later? Oh, you get another paycheck.
Right.
So what happens later in life? They put money aside for your retirement.
Sure.
You think, you know, you've got medical benefits.
Right.
Self-employment, you take care of yourself from A to Z.
Mhm.
And so you have to learn early the fiscal responsibility of taking
Right.
care of that money.
Right.
There's nobody taking care of you.
Mhm.
So you have to put money aside.
Mhm.
You have to save. You have to save for retirement. You have to take care of your medical benefits. So
Mhm.
the most difficult part as a young person, and
Yeah.
I struggled with this, I'd get paid pretty
Right.
big checks,
Right.
contract programming. I get done with a contract, and
Yeah.
it's like, here's your check.
Right.
And I'd go to Mexico and spend it all.
Right.
And then come back and no problem. You're young, you're stupid, and then it's like, oh, I didn't quite pay enough in taxes. I should have saved a little more money because I didn't get this contract I bid on, and now I've got 3 weeks to wait for a next check. And so you learned young to take care of your money.
Mhm.
So those two things, you do everything that's required,
Right.
and you really take care of your money.
Yeah.
If if you have those two characteristics or develop them through necessity,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like I did, because most of this wisdom,
Right.
most wisdom is, through hard, painful experience.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so those were the two biggest lessons I learned.
Yeah.
There's no blame. There's no waiting for somebody else to step in. There's no one. You take responsibility for finding a way and getting it done.
Absolutely.
And then take care of your money.
Indeed. Those are really helpful. Did you ever work for someone else? And I think you said you did. And what did you learn from that experience?
Well, when you're self-employed, you're still working for someone else.
Yeah.
Because self-employment doesn't mean you can pay yourself.
Right.
Somebody else still has to pay you. So I've always worked for other people. I've
Yeah.
just done it in a self-employed capacity.
Right.
So I'm my own boss, but I always work for other people. And so working for other people, especially people who are paying you or people you collaborate with, same thing applies. You just take care of your business.
Yeah.
You make sure that everything gets done.
Sure.
And so any skill that you learn as a self-employed person applies in a traditional employment environment.
Right.
And you're always working for and with other people. So the autonomy of the small business is nice, but you're still, if you're a contractor, you're working for the homeowner.
Yeah.
If you're a programmer, you're working for whatever business or organization is paying you to write a program.
Exactly.
So the interpersonal skills, that doesn't change at all.
Right.
But you have more control to succeed or to fail.
Sure.
And arguably you also have more control economically to demand a higher wage. So in a technical environment especially,
Right.
you really do have the ability as a young person with a technical skill to make more money self-employed than you would in an employment environment.
Right.
Because the employer necessarily is going to take a piece of the
Right.
of
Or
the
overhead.
pay.
Sure.
They've got overhead, they've got marketing, they got
People.
you this job.
That's right.
So if you're getting your own job and you're taking care of your overhead, your money, your billing, etc., you keep more of that money.
That's right.
You work harder for it, but you keep more.
Yeah. No, that's very important. That's a good point. Anything else you'd like to impart to the next generation as they're coming up?
Well, to me, self-employment it's both about employment and it's about lifestyle. So you mentioned earlier in the first question the freedoms that self-employment provides,
Right.
And it does. But
Right.
the freedoms are your time is your own. Some people argue that you can spend your 24 hours working. It's a difficult life balance. But traditional employment, it's not that you're taken care of, but you're more taken care of.
Right.
In self-employment, you take care of everything, including your free time, your vacation time.
That's right.
And so you have to balance. You have to make sure that you have a lifestyle that when you, especially with families and children, and you've got to take the time because there's always a reason to work.
Right.
And taking time's tough, but if you strike that balance, then you have an opportunity to have a really wonderful lifestyle.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Thank you so much for coming today.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.